Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. My name is Ronnie. I am the host facilitator of an active community on Facebook dedicated to healing, transformation and the sustained realization of consciousness, just like this YouTube channel. In fact, this YouTube channel posts the content, reshares the content that is available directly within the Facebook group. So if this is your type of thing, you find the content interesting and worthwhile, then you're welcome to participate in the group too. You can find the link for this below in the video description. Okay, so onwards to the video. The power has run out of my little microphone that I use for these videos, so I'm just going to do this one directly with the telephone mic, and hopefully there's no audio distortion because it's a little bit windy here. So this is why I'm kind of shielding a little bit from the wind to get to the phone. So the topic for this video is about close relational partnership. So you may have a romantic relationship, you may be a husband or a wife, you may be in a marriage, boyfriend, girlfriend, anything at all like that. And this is relevant for all relationships as well. And the main theme of it is being able to speak honestly any concerns that come up for you within the relationship. So you may be in a partnership with someone and there's certain things that are happening within the partnership that you're not comfortable with and you have direct concern about. However, you don't voice those concerns. You repress those concerns. Mainly for the reason of not wanting to create upset that will affect and cause trouble in the partnership or in the relationship. So this could be the same situation with a boss, with a co-worker, with anybody, etc. So specifically within close partnership, both of you are close, both of you are like, you share the same being. You share, the relationship is like one being, and you're close on the many different levels within that. So it can make it more challenging, more immediate, and more pressing and concerning, seemingly. So you're in a situation of partnership, and your beloved other is doing things, saying things, acting, behaving in ways that create concern for you, in ways that cause you to react internally, emotionally to. So you may have an emotional reaction and concern to the situation, to the person's behaviours, to the person's actions, but you keep yourself quiet and you keep that emotion repressed within you. Now that isn't the right way to go, of course. In this group here, we are resolving from different facets of emotional repression and all of the different experiences and the topics that we cover. Emotional repression is the root of all of the pain, the suffering, and challenges that we need to deal with. So this is another one. We've got to resolve this emotional repression. We've got to be clear, and we've got to speak honestly and clearly and forthright in our communication in order to be understood, in order to be able to express and to be understood by the other and to move life along, to move situations along, and more specifically to resolve any concerns that we may have. Alright, so if you're in the situation of maybe treading eggshells in a partnership, or you have concerns that you're just keeping yourself quiet and it's boiling away within you and you're just repressing that and you're avoiding speaking about it, then first of all you need to consider your own experience in that, the dynamics of your internal world of what you're repressing and what you're not expressing. Alright, so first of all is like, you are responsible for everything in your world experience. Sure, some say it's two to tango and both of you are in it together, but ultimately each of us You and your partner are completely responsible for how you engage the world and the choices that you make within the world. You are responsible for any emotion that's going on within you, any thought perceptions. These are all things that are under your responsibility, you know? These are all things that are under your partner's responsibility, your boss's responsibility, your co-worker, your parent, your child's responsibility. So that's the first step, is recognizing that. I am ultimately responsible here for what's going on within me. I'm not responsible for them, you know, their actions, their behaviours, their thought perceptions and emotional reactivities. That is their responsibility. But my responsibility is all of these things unto myself and for myself. So that is what I am going to contend with, and that is what I will deal with. Most specifically, before you go into any communication with another, you have to consider becoming clear first before you're able to actually communicate clearly. If you're not clear within your own being, within your own mind, then your communication won't be clear. And any emotional repression, any emotional reactivity and repressed emotion within you, if you're not clear, will actually communicate and project towards the other, and is more likely then to trigger the emotion within them too, and things can get really muddied up and cause chaos. So you're responsible, first of all, to get clear within yourself. You understand that there's a situation that has to be dealt with, that has to be met and has to be dealt with. Consider that as a practicality of your life experience. So you're going to deal with that practically, not emotionally, practically. But first of all, your responsibility is to become clear within yourself. First of all, you know, your responsibility in this experience, in this journey, is to become clear, is to live clear, be clear, resolve from emotional reactivity, resolve from emotional repression, so that you can live clear, you know? You can live with awareness and ultimate responsibility for self in your life experience. So if you've got concerns, you're bottling them up like a little pressure cooker, you know, let's get yourself clear first. Now, I really hope the audio is okay here. I'm sure it isn't. I really apologise if it is not. I've got another microphone ordered that will be arriving soon over the next few days that will cut out all the background noise and things like that. So apologies, and thank you for bearing with me. I mean, I could take these videos inside, you know, but I'm outside today, right now. Alright, so alright, you've got your bottled up emotion, and you're avoiding speaking about things of concern because you don't want to trigger upset, you know, in your partner. You know that emotion is held within you. You know if that comes out. You know how it feels within you, you know? You know how messy, when that starts to come out, how messy that will be. And it will muddy everything else up externally with your partner too. So you know that. You know, before any reactivity on their side in terms of how they handle anything, how they handle themselves, you know, how they might react, they might get upset, they might become aggressive, they might communicate ultimatums that they're going to leave the partnership, however it may go, you know. First step is to get clear on yourself. So take time to yourself to be clear, you know, not necessarily to solve the situation within yourself, you know, because if it's something that you need to communicate with your partner, then it's something that is an equal resolution that needs to take place, of course. So in this, become clear within yourself. You don't need to solve the situation within yourself. Forget about that, you know. Resolve the emotion within you first. Recognize that you are responsible for your own emotion, for your own thinking, for your own perception. Recognize that the other is responsible for their own emotion, their own thinking and their own perception. That's it. That is quite clearly what the boundary is, what the facts of the matter is. So it's your responsibility to get clear within yourself, you know, to resolve any emotional build-up within yourself and any worries, anxieties and concerns. So whatever you need to do for that to happen, whether take space to yourself, whether it be a walk in nature, whether it be meditation, whether it be a cold shower, whatever it is for you, that helps you to get clear, just to get clear and allow the emotion within you to dissolve and to subside. You know, get clear. Recognize and understand that you cannot control the emotional reactivity of the other person. You cannot control the outcomes of life, you know? So you might have fear and anxiety about any potential outcome in a situation that might lead to upset within a relationship, that might lead to breakup within a relationship. Well, these are things that can be out with your control if the decision is made by another to leave you, if the decision is made by another to be upset. These things are out with your control. And so you just need to be okay with that. You need to learn to be okay with any potential breakup, with any potential upset. The main thing is to become clear within yourself, okay? So that you're not stepping into communication with the other person with any emotion within you that will come out as blame, that will come out as victimhood, that will come out as aggression or frustration. That's not what you wish. That's not what is helpful to occur. Alright? So blaming, projection, blaming, complaining is not the way to enter into any dialogue with anyone, particularly in close, sensitive matters. So first of all, you need to be clear. Become clear through your own routines of doing that, giving yourself space and time to do that, and to become clear, okay? Before you even think about the topic, before you even approach the topic in communication, become clear, get yourself clear. That is the important thing. And to sustain that, and to be clear all the time. So consider it from the perspective of getting clear, being straight, just clear, being straight, not bending into emotion, not consumed by fear and anxiety. Get clear, be straight, and also be neutral. Be neutral, no emotion, be neutral. Okay, so that is what we ought to yearn for and establish within ourselves, and to live the experience of that, in fact. But in this situational context, get clear, take time, rest easy, chill baby, you know, get clear. That will help you be straight, that will help you be mindful and neutral, non-emotional, non-resistant, non-emotional, non-projecting, not projecting, alright? So clear, straight, neutral. And then if you've got something to be said to the other, consider it simply as a practicality in the experience of yourself. A practicality, something that practically needs to happen, that needs to be performed actively by yourself, in this case a communication with the other. It's a practicality, just like the practicalities of putting up a shelf, practicality of washing, doing the washing, clothes washing, whatever, doing the gardening, a simple practicality that moves your life forward. So that resolves and dissolves any emotion from it. Get clear, be straight, neutral, and approach things from the perspective of practicality, something that has to happen on a practical level. So when you're able to somewhat embody these characteristics, these ways of being that I'm explaining. When you're able to do that, then you can speak. You can speak to the other and approach the other. Speak what is to be spoken. And as you're speaking, if emotion begins to happen, remain mindful, clear, straight and neutral to any emotion. Neutral to blame, neutral away from blame, condemnation, neutral to their emotions also. So when you communicate what practically needs to happen, needs to be communicated, then that may trigger them, may not trigger them, but that may trigger them. If it does, what do? You just remain quiet. You allow their process, you allow their emotion to do as it will, because they are responsible for their emotion, not you. So it's not for you to try and compensate for their reactions, preempt their reactions, make things easier for them through some sort of people-pleasing thing. Forget it. Stand straight, be clear and neutral. That is it. And consider it merely from a practical perspective. Now, if you go into the experience with anxiety and fear about how the other person is going to react, what it might do to the relationship, etc., that needs to be resolved. That anxiety, fear, stress needs to be resolved. I'll do another video revisiting anxiety and stress, but you ought to be mindful of that. You cannot control outcomes of life. In fact, within the experience here, within this group, we are moving forward to attain within ourselves a position of remaining clear and remaining neutral and forthright in our experience in face of anything that may occur in our life, not just in relationship. So a relationship might end. Someone might get completely upset. You ought to, in your experience here, be in the position of fortitude, consolidated energy and consciousness, in the way that regardless of whatever happens in the outside world, in relationship, in situations, in the workplace, regardless of what happens, you can remain clear, straight and neutral. Because these things you cannot control. You can only control your own reactions and thought perceptions. So you keep yourself composed, keep yourself clear, straight, neutral in the midst of every firestorm possible, in the midst of every thunderous situation possible, in the midst of any atrocity, in the midst of any pain, in the midst of any chaos. You ought to, in your experience, strive to embody and to be clear, straight and neutral in your approach and stance within all of life. So the situation with the partner, the thing that needs to be spoken about, do so without any concern about what their reactions may be. Without any concern. That's their responsibility. If you're concerning about that, why? There's nothing you can do about it. You're just muddying up your own internal picture. So be neutral. Allow them to be who they are and what they are. So they might get triggered and they might come back, projecting back to you aggressively, manipulatively. In the face of that, what do? You remain clear. You remain straight. You remain neutral. Unaffected by it, recognizing that it's a storm or a whirlwind that is occurring and you're in the midst of that, And your eternal nature of self is unaffected by any of that. So stand clear, straight and neutral in your eternal nature, and allow the fires and the thunderstorms of situations to come and go as they will. So in terms of the partner experience and communicating what needs to be communicated, do so clearly and honestly, considered from a place of practicality that will help your life move forward. Okay? However the outcome, you cannot control it. You cannot control other people's choices.